Ever wonder where your morning cup of coffee begins its journey? It all starts with a tiny seed, no bigger than a grain of sand, but packed with the potential to awaken your senses. This seed is carefully planted in coffee nurseries, where it is nurtured and cared for until it sprouts. Once sprouting, the journey truly begins as these seedlings are transferred to the field. Under the warm sun and in the cradle of the rich, fertile soil, these seedlings grow into beautiful coffee trees. Yes, your favorite brew comes from trees that take several years to bear fruit, demanding patience and dedication from the farmers. And it's not just about planting and waiting. The right climate and soil conditions are crucial to the cultivation of coffee. The trees need a perfect balance of rain, sun, and temperature to produce the best beans. So, the journey of your coffee starts from a tiny seed in the fertile soil of a coffee farm. What happens when the coffee cherries are ripe and ready? Here's where the magic really begins. The process of harvesting coffee cherries is a labor of love, demanding both time and skill. There are two primary methods of harvesting: selective picking and strip picking. Selective picking, as the name suggests, is a meticulous process. Harvesters carefully pick only the ripest cherries, leaving the unripe ones to mature. This method can be quite labor-intensive as it requires a discerning eye and a gentle hand. Strip picking, on the other hand, is a bit more straightforward. All cherries, ripe or not, are stripped from the branch at once. While this method is less time-consuming, it doesn't distinguish between ripe and unripe cherries, which can impact the quality of the final product. It's a fascinating dance between man and nature, a testament to the dedication of the farmers and the allure of the coffee bean itself. After months of waiting, the ripe coffee cherries are finally picked, marking the end of the farming process. How do we get from cherry to bean, you ask? Well, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a fascinating journey of transformation. The first step in the process is the extraction of coffee beans from the cherries. This is achieved through two main methods: the dry method and the wet method. The dry method is the oldest and simplest. It involves spreading out the cherries in the sun to dry for about 2 to 3 weeks. Every few hours, the cherries are turned with a rake to prevent them from spoiling. The outer layer becomes brittle and is then removed to reveal the coffee beans inside. On the other hand, the wet method involves removing the pulp of the cherry before drying. The cherries are passed through a pulping machine to separate the skin and pulp from the bean. The beans are then placed in fermentation tanks for 1 to 2 days. This is followed by a thorough rinsing to remove any remaining pulp. But the journey doesn't end there. After extraction, the beans are dried to the perfect moisture level, usually between 10 to 12%. This is a critical step as it can greatly affect the taste of the coffee. The beans are then sorted and stored. What's left with us are raw green coffee beans ready for the next stage. And voila! The coffee cherries have now transformed into green coffee beans ready for roasting. How do these green beans turn into the fragrant brown beans we all know and love, you may ask? Well, it's all down to the art of roasting. This critical process is where the magic truly happens, transforming humble green coffee beans into the aromatic, flavorsome beans that make our beloved brew. At its simplest, roasting is about heating these beans to high temperatures. This triggers a series of chemical transformations, unlocking the delightful flavors and aromas we associate with coffee. But the art of roasting is much more nuanced than just cranking up the heat. There are 3 main levels of roasting: light, medium, and dark, each bringing out different characteristics of the bean. Light roasts, also known as first crack, are heated just enough to allow the bean's true flavors to emerge. They often have a more acidic, fruity profile. Medium roasts, on the other hand, are heated slightly longer, deepening their color and intensifying their flavor. Here, the bean's natural flavors start to mingle with the flavors developed during roasting, creating a harmonious balance. And then we have the dark roasts. These are heated until the second crack, resulting in beans that are almost black with a shiny oil surface. Dark roasts usually have a robust, bold flavor, often with notes of chocolate or toasted nuts. So the next time you sip your coffee, remember the long journey it took from a tiny seed to the wonderful brew in your cup.